Safe injection programs are effective and should be readily available to those in need of them. In this paper, I'm going to share with you the positive that comes from all safe injection programs deliver to the IDU community, including factual-based evidence, personal experience, determining factors in addiction, and the outcome or not of having these facilities in the community affected greatly by IDU addiction. Safe injection programs should not be negatively stigmatized because they reduce mortality, illness, and overdose rates and disease in people who suffer from addiction. Addiction is not a choice, meaning there are many factors that play a part. These studies have proven to be effective when properly utilized by professionals and members of the community. As someone who has come face to face with addiction due to my father's alcoholism, I have come to develop a strong passion for those who suffer. From an insider's perspective, I strongly believe that there are specific contributions to an addiction. This may include foster care, home life, poverty, parental exposure, crime-filled neighborhoods, or even lack of education and support. Biology, genetics, and being predisposed to addiction from birth can oftentimes rip the choice out of these innocent individuals' hands. My father had many of these contributing factors, and although many times he was defined by his addiction, in my eyes, he was much more than that. He was lost. He came from a horrible family full of addicts, later ending up in the foster care system, and leading to his adulthood of personal addiction. He was taught no coping mechanisms, given no support or therapy, and was predisposed to this illness like many individuals are. As I researched into this specific topic, my passion for the issue grew stronger. I adapted a strong belief that no one takes that drug or that sick or whatever it is they're addicted to and plan on possessing an unhealthy illness over the specific substance. It is tiring, and for many it leads to jail time, loss of jobs, little to no money, and losing their family and finally themselves. If nobody went into the addiction with the intent to be addicted, then why is it we view these people as unequal members of society? When looking into studies done on existing sorts that have included physical, emotional, and sexual abuse, when looking into studies done on existing sorts that have included physical, emotional, and sexual abuse, this proves that a dysfunctional family, peer group, or community can lead to negative results of addiction, as these people are often trying to numb the pain of previous trauma. This specific study showed nearly 2/3 of IDU is related to abusive and traumatic childhood events. As the child is still developing the events in someone's childhood, have the ability to affect them forever. If not, the events in someone's childhood have the ability to affect them forever, if not given the proper rehabilitation. Brain development of children and adolescents was sabotaged by the traumatic experience, is the system subverted by addiction, the dopamine opioid crisis, or circuits, the limbic or emotional brain, the stress apparatus, and the impulsive control area of the cortex are unable to develop normally in such circumstances. Being aware of these factors allows you to open your mind and provide the best possible treatment/programs. It is family, friends, peers, medical professionals, governments in which we need to hold reliable and responsible for letting these members of society down. It only takes one person to change another's life forever. So let's take this step forward together, and one person at a time, change the lives of these individuals and improve supports and programs and rehabilitation starting at a young age to reduce the rates of mortality as well as addiction in the first place. There are many programs that are out there today that have been developed specifically with the intent of helping highest risk addicts. The problem is that these programs tend more often than not to be rejected by taxpayers, seniors, religious groups, government groups, parents of young children, teens, media, and educational systems. I have always questioned why we are so eager to help those with cancer or diabetes, both proven they can be genetically passed down. Addicts who suffer from addiction, also proven it can be genetically passed down. why it is we leave these people to suffer and be treated unfairly. So I decided to dig a little deeper into the studies conducted on IDU treatment and programs, hoping to be able to find myself the many beneficial things out there for these people and their proven success rates obtained by these programs that many of us reject. These programs' treatments actually have made a large positive impact on the lives of those with IDU. The study was conducted in 2004 to 2015. Subsequent analysis proved that 5,000 IDU citizens used the facility within the first year of opening. This was incredible to find, as it shows a consistency for the individuals to want to seek help. Wanting to inject with safer needles, check drugs for potentially being late, for potential lacing, not wanting to inject alone, and wanting to remove themselves from a public environment, and overall wanting to seek proper medical attention and medical support and referral programs. The individuals have medical attention if a potential overdose were to occur. Individuals have access to an on-site drug counselor, medical staff, and referral programs. The facility is ran in hopes of attracting the most at-risk IDU patients, not only providing exceptional treatment within the facility, but safer injection sites serve as a referral center. To other programs, treatment, and healthcare, the depth in which these safe injection sites are going to help is truly astonishing. In another study conducted in Vancouver, Canada, conducted between 2004 and 2005, provided evidence that nurses responded to 1.3 overdoses per 1,000 injections. This factual-based evidence shown proves the effectiveness of these centers and proof that they help those at highest risk, meaning they have sufficiently surpassed my personal expectation and hopefully those who doubted the success or just overall disapproved of these facilities. I want you all to take another second and imagine a close friend, loved one, or even a peer has an addiction. Feel free to imagine yourself in the shoes of the addict as well. In this scenario, you are trying to get the help for this addiction, which all began from a childhood trauma and your desperate need for silence the pain. So you start using the substance. You find when taking the substance, you're more happy, outgoing, concentrated, a better listener, brilliant, powerful, funny, fun, and better energy all around. So you continue to take more to keep the crippling pain at bay. Now, this has manifested into something you could have never imagined for yourself, a family member or friend. Would you be worried? Would you try and seek medical help? Would you involve the family? Would you educate yourself, possess a non-judgmental approach? The answer is most likely to be yes. You would seek the best professional help you could. Now, last, I would like you to imagine the best care out there. Specifically for them, there is a huge lack of, and none locally in your area due to the stigma behind them. It would be devastating to let yourself wither away, or anyone for that matter. Many of us would fight, take a stand, with the studies already conducted and available to us. It makes our jobs easier as advocates. So why is it that this evidence is not being acknowledged by those in charge, those able to provide these people with treatment and equal treatment we all deserve? This information needs to be utilized in a constructive way, leading to a large benefit to the community. With the lives safe injection sites have saved, the large drop in overdoses, public drug use, and sharing needles, let's make this an availability to all. Let's help more than the person addicted, but also to clean up the community, making it safer for young people running around who are so easily influenced and vulnerable. I challenge you to think about the statistics I've shared, or to research yourself the many more programs out there, and let's make this world a better place, one person at a time. It is time for our community to take responsibility for these people, as they are human and have the same rights and deserve the same level of high-quality care that we possess in Canada. Next, I'd like to share with you the results of these programs not being used in the communities of those with high rates of IDU addiction. In this last section, I'm going to discuss the mortality rates, overdoses, and HIV/AIDS related to IDU usage. The studies I have come across are international and North American. One is included to give you a larger perspective on the issue. I hope for you to acknowledge that addiction is everywhere and is a large issue, growing larger each and every minute. And result of being uneducated or, as discussed, being predisposed, this is the sad and ugly truth about addiction in its last phase. Quick note, people who are currently sober but people who are currently sober but previously struggled with substance dependency will forever be an addict, so ongoing treatment, medication, therapy, and healthcare must be continued forever after sobriety. When conducting my research, I found all-cause crude mortality rates of, or CMR for short, of 2.35 deaths per 100 persons yearly. PY provides the astoundingly excessive loss of life affiliated with IDU. Evidence like this is unnerving. Mortality of addicts being so high is disheartening in these countries. They don't have accessibility to the care they need. Some cultures may have even shun addicts, or religious groups not helping the true underlying some cultures may even shun addicts or religious groups not helping the underlying cause of the substance dependency. I also found a study which shows standard mortality ratio of 14.38 confirms that the casualty rate is greater in particular in individuals who inject illicit drugs than a person of general population. Showing this piece of evidence allows me to give you the death tolls in IDU than in individual IDU patients versus individuals not suffering from drug addiction, in other words, the general population. Sadly, many of these people are also contracting HIV/AIDS, which contributes to the death tolls, again, of addicts. Estimates in 9 studies proved mortality rates to be double of those who had contracted HIV positive than those who had contracted HIV negative. People who had contracted HIV negative, people injected drugs. Overall, I think these studies truly speak for themselves. It proves to me again the effectiveness and need for safe injection programs, showing me also the results of lacking these willing professionals in government, officials, and community members, resulting in many overdoses as well as contracting disease, more crime, public drug use, sharing needles, poverty, high crime rates, and overdosing alone. This will be our future, so take needles, poverty, high crime rates, and overdosing alone. This will be our future, so take a moment out of your day to evaluate your personal beliefs, whether negative or positive, and try and think about the role you'd like to personally play in the rehabilitation of these individuals. In conclusion to my research, I have shared with you my own beliefs on the matter, talking about my own personal experiences and why I developed such a strong passion for these specific individuals' lives. I have shared determining factors in which addiction develops and is able to affect so many different people's lives, with other areas of their lives playing the role of dictator, making addiction not a choice but more of a devastating health condition. To back these beliefs up, I have included studies, evidence-based, to give you a real vision of this problem and these individuals' lives, leaving everyone with some more stats and information on mortality rates and illness/disease. In these communities that refuse to provide factual, effective, safe injection programs, I have asked you to imagine yourself or loved one in the personal frustration and sadness that would come from the lack of effective treatment. Some decisions of IDU sufferers or family members that many of us have come to find questionable, stating and concluding that every one of you should open up, be more accepting, empathetic, and passionate, have a passionate approach. You never know if you will be walking in the shoes of an addict one day, or that of their family, friends, or peers. Let's use our strengths to speak up and open facilities based on factual evidence for youth, adolescents, adults, and seniors all facing addiction. Developing this approach will result in fewer deaths, less crime, less babies born addicted, contracting HIV rates lowered, or any other health concerns. In conclusion to this paper, I hope you have learned or opened your mind to adapting a new mindset and we together as a nation save the loved ones, the pain, despair, and energy in finding the appropriate help